Every single coffee tested in a 2025 lab study, all 57 products, 45 top-selling brands, 7,069 individual tests, came back positive for heavy metals. Arsenic, lead, cadmium, mercury, all of them, including the organic bag in your pantry. But here's the part nobody's reporting right. It's not really about the brand on the label. It's about the can, the pod, the roast, and where the beans were grown. Get those wrong, and you're stacking exposure every morning for years. Get them right, and coffee is one of the cleanest things in your kitchen. So today, 13 coffees worth reconsidering, and 7 that came out clean, real products, pulled straight from the actual lab data. No guesswork. Quick disclaimer, not medical advice, just a plain English read of a real study. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, if food safety and smart stockpiling content like this is useful to you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I go through primary research, lab data, and government sourcing, so you don't have to dig through 40-page PDFs yourself. Let's get into the list. One quick, important note before we start. Not one of these coffees broke a legal safety limit. There is currently no federal contaminant regulation for coffee in the United States at all, so the Clean Label Project measured everything against the European Union's food safety thresholds instead, since the EU actually has established limits and the US doesn't. Every product on this list fell under those EU limits. This isn't a "these brands are poisoning you" list. It's a "here's where the exposure adds up fastest" list. Context matters, and we're going to give it to you. Number 13 and 12, canned coffee, broadly starting with Folgers Classic Roast and Maxwell House 100% Colombian. Across the whole study, canned coffee consistently came out worse than bagged or pod coffee on 2 fronts: acrylamide and phthalates. Acrylamide forms naturally through the Maillard reaction, the same browning chemistry that gives toast its color, but it forms in higher amounts when beans are roasted at higher temperatures, which is common with cheaper, high-volume canned blends. Acrylamide has been linked in animal studies to nervous system effects, and while there's no confirmed direct cancer link in humans yet, it's exactly the kind of compound researchers are actively watching. Number 11, chock full of nuts. Heavenly Original, medium roast, can. Same packaging problem as above, but this one also lands in the medium roast category, which brings its own acrylamide profile. More on that in a second. Canned coffee tends to sit in metal packaging for longer shelf periods too, which is a separate variable researchers are still studying for interaction effects with processing byproducts. Number 10, Tim Hortons Original Blend, Canada. Worth noting here, canned coffee isn't inherently bad, and plenty of people drink it their whole lives without issue. The point is dosage and frequency. If it's your daily driver, 3 or 4 cups a day of a higher acrylamide product adds up differently than an occasional cup. Number 9, Beaumont Colombian, Canada. Again, a canned Colombian blend canned packaging showed up again and again as the single biggest predictor of higher contaminant readings across the entire 57 product data set, more than origin, more than organic status, more than price point. Number 8, Il Classico, can. Yes, even a premium Italian brand known for quality control landed in this category once it hit a can. This is the part that surprises people. Price and prestige don't override packaging chemistry. A $14 canned espresso blend and a $6 canned grocery blend face the same physical exposure pathway. The can doesn't know your coffee is fancy. Number 7, Royal Kona Private Reserve, medium roast, bag. This is the surprising one we teased at the top. Royal Kona is grown in Hawaii, and Hawaiian-grown coffee consistently tested with the highest heavy metal levels of any region in the entire study, higher than Colombia, Brazil, Guatemala, or Kenya. The likely reason isn't farming practice at all. It's geology. Hawaii's soil is young, volcanic, and naturally rich in trace metals like arsenic and cadmium that get drawn up through the coffee plant's roots. African-grown coffees, by contrast, consistently showed the lowest heavy metal readings of any region tested. A genuinely interesting finding we'll circle back to in the safe list. Number 6, Nespresso Altisio, dark roast, pod. Now we move into pods. Coffee pods, Nespresso, Keurig-style cups, and similar single-serve capsules tested significantly higher for phthalates, a class of plasticizers used to keep plastic flexible. Phthalates are known endocrine disruptors, meaning they can interfere with hormone signaling in the body, and they were found in 70% of all coffee samples tested, with the highest concentrations specifically in canned and pod products. Number 5. Nespresso Diavolito, dark roast, pod, same brand family, same packaging concern. The mechanism here is straightforward. Hot water passing through plastic and foil-lined capsules under pressure creates more opportunity for plasticizer migration than water passing through a paper filter and a metal bag clip ever will. Number 4. Keurig Original Donut Shop, medium roast, pod. One of the best-selling pod coffees in America, and a good example of why popular and low contaminant aren't the same thing. Independent industry testing outside this study has also flagged plastic single-serve pods for leaching microplastic particles during brewing, a separate but related packaging concern researchers are only beginning to quantify. Number 3. Green Mountain Breakfast Blend, light roast, pod. Interesting case because light roast on its own is one of the better choices. It's the packaging dragging this one down, not the roast level. This is exactly the kind of nuance that gets lost in clickbait worst coffee lists. It's rarely just one factor. Number 2. Bulletproof The Mentalist, medium roast, pod. Bulletproof has built its entire brand identity around clean, toxin-tested coffee, which makes this one genuinely worth flagging. Their bagged breakfast blend actually shows up later on our safe list, which tells you everything about how much packaging format alone can shift the outcome, even within the exact same company. Same beans, same roaster, different result just because of the format it's sold in. Number 1. San Francisco Bay Organic Rainforest Blend, medium roast, pod. This is the one that trips people up the most, and it's the perfect bridge into our next point. This coffee is certified organic, and it's still tested positive for a glyphosate byproduct called AMPA. In fact, the study found AMPA in 100% of the organic coffees it tested, despite glyphosate being banned outright for organic certification. AMPA doesn't come from the farm spraying it directly. It's what glyphosate breaks down into in soil and water over time, and it can persist in growing environments for years after the chemical itself was last applied nearby. The lesson, organic, tells you about farming inputs on that specific crop, not about environmental residue history, and it definitely doesn't cancel out a plastic pod's packaging chemistry. A quick word on mold, since it's the number 1 question I get about this topic. You've probably seen mold-free or mycotoxin-tested splashed across premium coffee packaging, usually with a scary claim attached. Here's the balanced version. Green, unroasted coffee beans absolutely can carry mold-derived compounds called mycotoxins, most commonly one called ochratoxin A, especially if beans were harvested or stored improperly in humid conditions. But peer-reviewed research on the roasting process itself shows that roasting destroys a large majority of ochratoxin A, with studies measuring reductions in the range of roughly 69 to 96% depending on roast time and temperature. Regulatory bodies like the EU have also set strict ochratoxin A limits for roasted coffee, and independent lab testing of mainstream grocery store coffee has consistently come back well under those thresholds, mold-free marketing claims or not. So while mold contamination is a legitimate concern in the raw supply chain, which is exactly why proper drying and storage standards exist upstream by the time a bag of roasted coffee reaches your kitchen shelf, it is not the primary risk factor this video is built around. Packaging, roast level, and origin are. If this kind of research-backed breakdown is helping you shop smarter, do me a favor and drop a comment telling me which brand on this list surprised you most. I read every single one, and it genuinely shapes what I dig into next. Now let's get to the good news, the 7 coffees that came out clean. Here's the pattern that emerged, and once you see it, you'll never look at a coffee aisle the same way again. The cleanest coffees in the entire study shared 3 traits almost without exception. They came in a bag, not a can or a pod. They were roasted dark or light, not medium, and several of them were grown in Africa, rather than in volcanic soil regions like Hawaii. Number 7. Love Grown Dark Roast, bag. Love Grown is currently the only coffee brand to earn full Clean Label Project certification, meaning it underwent the organization's most rigorous testing tier and came out ahead of every competitor measured. The company has also independently tested its plastic-free pods against standard plastic pods and found dramatically lower microplastic shedding, a claim worth noting as company-reported data, but one that lines up with the broader packaging pattern this whole study revealed. Number 6. Groundwork Organic Ethiopia Light Roast Bag. This one checks every box. African grown, meaning lower baseline heavy metal exposure. Light roast, meaning lower acrylamide formation. And bagged, avoiding the phthalate and DEHP concerns tied to cans and pods. Ethiopia is also coffee's birthplace, and its high-altitude growing regions consistently produce some of the lowest contaminant beans on the market. If you only remember one origin from this whole video, make it this one. Number 5. Counterculture 46. Dark Roast Bag. Dark roasts consistently tested lower for acrylamide across the board, likely because the longer, higher heat roasting process that creates a dark bean also breaks down more of the acrylamide that formed earlier in roasting. It's essentially cooked out rather than cooked in. Number 4. Peet's Organic French Roast Dark Roast Bag. Peet's has multiple products across this study's roast spectrum, and their dark, bagged organic roast is a clean example of how a mainstream, widely available brand can land in the safer category simply by nailing the packaging and roast variables. You don't need a boutique price tag to make a smarter choice here. Number 3. Seattle's Best Post Alley Dark Roast Bag. Another accessible grocery store shelf option, which matters a lot of clean coffee advice, online pushes, $40 specialty bags, but this data shows mainstream dark roast bags are already doing most of the work for you. Number 2. Bulletproof Breakfast Blend Light Roast Bag. As mentioned earlier, the exact same company that landed on our avoid list with its pod product shows up here with its bagged light roast product, the clearest single proof point in this entire study that format and roast level matter more than brand loyalty. Number 1. Peet's Sun Catcher Light Roast Bag. Closing the list the same way we opened it. Bagged, single origin leaning, light roast. Light roasting uses lower temperatures for a shorter time, which limits acrylamide formation from the start, rather than relying on a longer roast to burn it back off. Combined with bagged packaging, this is about as low exposure as mainstream commercial coffee gets. Zoom out, and the takeaway is simple. You don't need to memorize 13 brand names and boycott them forever. You need to remember 3 questions next time you're standing in the coffee aisle. Is it bagged, or is it in a can or a pod? Is it dark or light roast rather than medium? And if you can find it, was it grown somewhere like Ethiopia, Kenya, or another African origin rather than Hawaii? Answer those 3 questions well, and you've already outperformed most of what's sitting on that shelf. Look, coffee isn't going anywhere, and it shouldn't. 1 billion people worldwide drink it every single day, and for the vast majority of them, in the vast majority of amounts, it remains one of the most researched and genuinely beneficial beverages on the planet. This isn't about fear. It's about the same principle we come back to on this channel again and again. Small, informed choices, repeated daily over years, compound into a real difference for your health, your grocery budget, and your peace of mind. Choose the bag over the can when you can. Choose dark or light over medium when you have the option. And remember that a label that says organic or premium is telling you one part of the story, not the whole thing. And if you take just one thing away from the next 20 seconds, let it be this. None of the 13 coffees we walked through today are illegal, recalled, or banned anywhere. They're simply sitting on the higher end of a spectrum that, for most healthy adults drinking normal amounts, still falls within established safety thresholds. Where this data becomes genuinely useful is for the people drinking multiple cups a day, every day, for decades, because that's where small differences in packaging and roasting stop being trivia and start being math. A slightly higher acrylamide reading in 1 can of coffee is nothing. The same slightly higher reading, 3 cups a day for 20 years, is a different conversation. That's the entire point of reading studies like this one instead of just trusting the label. If you found this useful, there's a lot more where this came from: food safety breakdowns, smart stockpiling strategies, and grocery price research, all sourced the same way this one was, straight from the primary data. No fear-mongering, no guesswork. That's the whole approach on this channel. Numbers over noise, so you can make your own call instead of taking a stranger's word for it. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one.